So you want to pass your real estate exam? Well, stay here because you need to learn your vocabulary. So it's all about vocabulary, vocabulary, vocabulary in order to pass your exam. All right, so let's get with it. We're continuing on from last session's vocabulary. So last session we finished with number 125. So we're starting with 126 today, and we will do to 150. All right, so I'll be sharing the definition for you, and then you've got to guess the vocabulary word. So type it in the chat. You end up having principal and interest in. Okay, so what happened to my... Okay, so space used by members of the public, such as shopping centers, restaurants, libraries, and recreational facilities. So think about it and type your answer in the chat. Don't be shy. This is where you want to practice and learn, so I can help you understand. Good morning, Rockwall. Great to see you here. I'm on a small monitor today. Yes, okay. So it's the space used by members of the public, such as shopping centers, restaurants, and libraries, and recreational facilities. What is the term for that definition? Type your answer here in the chat. I'll be showing you the answer momentarily. So public accommodations. Okay, so when you go to shopping centers, restaurants, libraries, you know, that is called public accommodation. It's accessible to everybody. It's commercial properties. Okay, so public accommodation. This will help you learn the meaning of the definitions better than just seeing the word and then seeing the answer. Because if you know the definition, you'll be able to answer it much better on the exam. All right, next, 127. Legal provision that requires certain types of contracts to be in writing to be enforceable. So what provision requires contracts to be in writing in order to be able to go to court and the judge to accept it, or a jury? Remember, contracts need to be in writing. What law says it has to be in writing in order to be legal or to stand up in court? Type your answer in the chat. Since I'm on a small computer, I've got, okay, so I've got, let's see, statute of frauds. Okay, well, let's check it out. Statute of fraud, that is correct. Awesome. Somebody's more awake than I am this morning. Number 128. A mortgage that covers more than one parcel of property and often has partial release clauses. So developers that want to have a subdivision Okay, they'll take a piece of land like you see here on the picture, okay, and they'll start to subdivide it so you have a subdivision as you see all these homes here. So a lender will provide this type of a mortgage that as soon as they sell one parcel, it can be released from the loan. So what type of mortgage is that? Let's see, I've got blanket mortgage. Okay, well, there's several of you here, okay? So come on and participate. So I've got, let's see, who's participating? Rockwell is participating. Let's get more of you to participate. All right, so let's go check out the answer. Blanket mortgage. So think of yourself being under a bed with maybe brothers and sisters when you were little kids, and a blanket covers all of you, right? So it starts to kind of run out of space, right? When there's a whole bunch of you on there. As one of them leaves, you have more room under the blanket. So the borrower, which is the builder, has equity. Okay, so the bank released each lot that is sold. And that way they owe less and less and less. So this is what builders, developers will use when they want to subdivide a property. Awesome. Oh, I like that little smiley face. Borrower right to bring a loan current after default. Okay, that doesn't make sense here. Oh, a borrower's right to bring a loan current after default. So you've got a mortgage and you're late. You've defaulted. You haven't been able to make the payment. Okay, what is that when you bring it current? Type your answer in the chatty chat. Okay, nobody taking a chance here today? Okay. So the answer for that is the right to reinstate. So let's say it's going through a foreclosure process and they still want to get their property back. They can go to the courthouse steps, okay, and pay what's due. Of course, they're going to have penalties, attorney fees, all those types of things, late interest, interest on interest. So it's going to cost them a lot of money to reinstate it. However, they'll save their property. So right to reinstate is when the borrower's right to bring a loan current after default. Hopefully they can do it before it goes to foreclosure, right? So that would be during the pre-foreclosure phase. All right, next. Initial interest rate that is lower than the rate typically available in the market. You know what? I want to minimize my screen there. Sorry about that. I wasn't showing you the screen. Oh, my bad. I'm on a small computer. I'm on travel, so I don't have all my monitors where I can look at this. Let's see, are these not multiple choice questions? Well, in the exam, yes, they're multiple choice, but not here. I'm making you think about it here. I'm not giving you options. I'm letting you think about it and come up with the answer. Okay, so I'm making it more difficult. I'm making you think as to what the definition is, what the meaning of these real estate vocabulary words are. because these vocabulary words are going to help you answer a lot of your questions on the exam for national questions and state questions. That is the teaser rate that they advertise. So the initial rate that is lower than the rate typically available in the market, the teaser rate. So mortgage lenders might be advertising, okay? And because the actual rate, there's usually a range. It depends on your credit score and your debt to income ratio. So a lender is going to look at all your finances, okay, how much debt you have. So depending on that, your credit score, it'll determine what interest rate. So let's say the interest rate right now might be 4.5 because the interest rates have gone up. Then they'll say, well, hey, you know, your credit score is only 620 or something. So your interest rate might be 5%. You have a high interest rate, a high credit score, 750, 720s, 800. They'll say, oh, hey, you've got excellent credit, no debt or very little debt. So your debt to income ratio is really low. You qualify for a 3.5%. Okay, that's the teaser rate. Okay, I'm going to see if I can do it all on one screen here. So bear with me a moment, okay, as I deal with one monitor instead of multiple. All right, can you hear me now? Yes, all right, awesome. So Chrome tab. Okay, so what is the appraisal principle that states that buyers are unlikely to pay more for a property than the cost of acquiring a similar substitute property? So in real life, nobody wants to pay more than what it'll appraise. In this market, people have been paying 30,000, 50,000, 75,000 over the list price, right? Because there are not enough homes on the market. But on the average, a normal market, that's very unlikely. So that principle is called principle of substitution, right? Because there is competition. So there's multiple properties in a subdivision, and they're very similar. And one seller might say, well, hey, I upgraded the roof. Hey, I added this, I added that, where a lot of it is deferred maintenance, right? It's not really an improvement of the value of the property. It's basically keeping it up to its normal price and normal condition. So they're going to go see multiple houses and they'll buy the one that's lower price than others in the same neighborhood, same area, within a half-mile radius, 1 mile radius, depending how big the subdivisions are. Okay, so did anybody answer to that? Audio is back. Thank you so much. All right, next. An examination of the major structural components of a building, such as the roof, the walls, plumbing, and electrical system, usually performed by a governmental official as part of the permitting process. So what is the examination of the major? So the little picture on the left tells you a little bit. An examination of the major structural components. So someone has to go from the city and examine the construction of the property, the plumbing, the electrical, the roof, okay, and see if they can permit it to be occupied. What is that process called, or that examination? Type your answer in the chat. No risk takers today, or not many. That is the building inspection, okay? Even though it's a house, they call it the building inspection. And that's different from a home inspection, okay? A home inspection is done by a home inspector that is licensed by the Real Estate Commission, whatever state you're in. Okay, if you're in Texas like I am, it would be with the inspectors that are licensed by Texas Real Estate Commission, known as TREC. However, this is not for an evaluation of what the buyer is getting, to kind of give them an overview of like, okay, what's the condition of the home, what needs to be repaired, and those types of things. This is when a building is being constructed. A home is under construction, and the inspector has to make sure the plumbing was done correctly, all the electrical was done correctly, and gas, any other types of services that are connected to the property, and the roof structure, see if there's termites, being sprayed on there for termite spray. So that is the building inspection, different from a home inspection. A home inspection is when there's a contract between the seller and the buyer wants to know the condition of the home, what is hidden, what is not what is called a latent defect, something that we can visually see, or that a home inspector can use different instruments to inspect, like for moisture, okay? Or there's now laser type of devices that can detect whether there is enough insulation in the ceiling or not, like with infrared lights. Okay, next. A licensed professional service provider who works with a borrower to complete a mortgage transaction with a lender. Licensed professional service provider who works with a borrower to complete a mortgage transaction with a lender. Think about it and type your answer in the chat. So, hey, I get to see who's on here. Tiffany, Ellie, Mathilda, Mao, and Tina Lang. Hey, Tina, how's it going? Tina is one of my past students, passed her real estate license, and is a realtor. So good morning to all of you. Okay, so you're saying loan officer, RMLO. Well, let's check it out. Mortgage loan originator. Okay, so it'll be a loan officer. Okay, somebody said MLO. So the MLO, registered mortgage loan originator. Very good. Next, 131. Limit on the maximum amount of payment. A payment may change on an adjustable rate loan. I was going to say adjustable rate mortgage. Adjustable rate loan, same difference, from one period to the next. So what is that? This limit that an adjustable rate mortgage can increase. So there is a cap that the government, the financial government, will put on it. Because then an individual that has this loan is not going to be able to afford to stay in that home. And even then, so when we're helping buyers, we want to recommend a fixed mortgage, not an adjustable rate mortgage, which are called ARM, A-R-M, adjustable rate mortgage, adjustable rate loan. Okay, so let's see. Mathilda says a cap, the periodic cap. Very close, but yes, the periodic cap. So adjustable rate mortgages known as ARM, they could be for 1, 3, 5, 7. They're usually odd number types of loans, 9 or even 10. I had a 10-year adjustable rate mortgage, and it was an interest only. Some ARMs are interest only, others are principal and interest. And after that period ends, okay, let's say it's a 3-year ARM, the interest rate may adjust. And it could adjust less. Mine ended up going down because the market crashed. So the interest rates went down to help the economy, boost it, okay? So I was fortunate. So before I sold it, it started going up, but not past to where I had it. So for example, my interest rate initially was 9%. It was a business loan. It went down to 5.5%. Yahoo! Right? My payment was less, a lot less. All right. Next definition. 1 cup of creamer. I just have my brothers helping me out here, getting me a cup of coffee. Okay, let's go to the next. A substance that was used for insulation, roofing and siding products prior to 1980, which has subsequently been associated with health concerns. Okay, you can cheat here if you look at the picture, all right? So a substance that was used for insulation in the past before 1980 for roofing or siding, which has subsequently been associated with health concerns. Okay, so far I have asbestos. Okay, I've got some risk takers. Awesome, Tiffany, Mathilda. Yee-hee! I like them smiley faces, laughing faces. That's me, man. I laugh. I'm a wild Lily Handy here. Asbestos. Yes. Awesome. Very good. Oh, thanks, Matilda. I'm glad you're loving it. Making you really think about it, right? All right. Next. Okay. Hey, look, you're going to look real professional once you get your license, right? You might be wearing a suit, a dress, and on the other hand, you might be wearing a t-shirt, depending where you're at, right? So you may dress according to your environment. If you're in Hawaii, you know, you may wear, what do you call them? Capris and a Hawaiian shirt or whatever. Okay, an agent with authority to perform all transactions which may be completed by the principal. An agent with authority to perform all types of transactions which may be completed by the principal. So what kind of agent is that? Thank you, bro. All right. Type your answer in the chat. So let's see. I've got universal agent. So you have different types of agents, right? Special agent, like I'm special, okay? Special agent or general agent. All right, so far I have universal agent. Anybody else? Universal agent, Yahoo, you got it. Okay, let me see if anybody else is replying on the other screen. Nope, that's okay. I'm being able to see everything. I've got my phone going on as my other monitors. All right, moving right along. Okay, court process resulting in a criminal history record becoming confidential and not subject to public inspection. So what kind of court process is that? A court process resulting in a criminal history record becoming confidential and not subject to public inspection. Wow, if you're on a phone, man, it is small, but I can see it. So what is that court process that results in protecting the information becoming confidential? Because most everything becomes public. No answers. The expungement. Boy, that would have got me. I didn't think about expungement. That's a new one. I've never used these words, some of these words, okay? However, it's like we go to grade school, junior high, high school, college. A lot of what we learn, we don't use. But what does it do? It provides us a foundation for everyday living that we may or may not encounter. Okay, this is not in one of the books that I use. This is actually in this website called Quick Plus. And there's a free version, or you can purchase, okay, a version of Quick Plus. And so there are different teachers that come on here and provide information, other realtors. So I found these 301 vocabulary on here, and it's awesome to use it. Instead of giving you the word, the multiple choice questions on vocabulary, or showing you the word and the definition at the same time, this allows you to think about it. Okay, so Quick Quizlet Plus, you can go in there and they have these libraries here of different individuals, and some of them that post in different states, and even Prep Agent is on here. Okay, Prep Agent is an excellent source to also study. Joe Juder, he wears a little hat. I'm a cap user, he's a hat user. Okay, next. Like that little red, if it had some black, man, it would meet my colors. Okay, number 138. Rental agreement where the tenant pays a fixed rental amount to the landlord and the landlord remains responsible for the costs associated with owning and maintaining the property. So what type of rental agreement where the tenant pays a fixed monthly rent, weekly rent, whatever type of period they're paying, where the landlord remains responsible for other costs? What is that called? Type it in the chat, please. And for those of you participating, that's awesome. Anybody that just came in, we are continuing with vocabulary. I've had quite a few students pass their exam this last couple of weeks, and almost all of them, 100% of them, stressed and sent me comments. Get that vocabulary, get that vocabulary, learn the vocabulary, learn the vocabulary. Don't memorize it, but learn it. Well, some may learn it when they memorize, but most of the time we forget it. A gross lease. So what is a gross lease? It's the full price, kind of when you get paid a salary or a gross commission, or when you're paying your income tax, you have your gross income minus all the expenses, then it's net. Well, this tenant is paying for everything, but it covers the costs for the owner. It covers the cost for the owner to pay for the taxes, the insurance, repairs. So it's called gross lease. Number 139. Oh man, that looks like a pissed off face. An agreement that initially appears valid and enforceable, but becomes unenforceable due to non-disclosure of a material fact, mistake, misrepresentation, fraud, undue influence, or duress. So what type of agreement is that? Hi, Jennifer. Thank you for watching. All right, so I see voidable. So nobody's watching on YouTube today, or there are. So if any of you are on YouTube, hey, click that thumbs up if you're finding this valuable. Okay, so what is the type of an agreement that appears valid initially, but becomes unenforceable? A voidable contract, right? It can be voided, especially if somebody was, in coerced, influenced, under duress, or it was misrepresentation or fraud. Voidable. Very good. Number 140. Oh, colorful money. Oh man, I used to travel to Europe and it was beautiful to have all these different countries' money. Very colorful. Now it's all one. Agreement given by a lender to a borrower whereby the lender agrees to provide long-term financing later in place of existing short-term financing. So an agreement by a lender to a borrower. So the lender agrees to provide a long-term financing, 15 years, 30 years, instead of an existing short-term financing. So short-term financing, temporary or intermediate type of a loan. Type your answer in the chat. Y'all are doing awesome. Okay, Tiffany, Matilda, you're my two champs today. Typing away. Okay, no answers. Well, take out commitment. Well, that got me. That's not what I was thinking. I was thinking of a fixed long term, but a takeout commitment is an agreement given by a lender to a borrower whereby the lender agrees to provide long term financing later in place of existing short term. So this almost seems like when a property is under construction, there'll be the interim loan, which is during the construction phase. Once the construction is done and it has been permitted for occupancy, then they'll create a permanent loan, a 15-year or 30-year fixed loan. But it's called the takeout commitment. Okay. You may or may not see that on the exam, but hey, it's a vocabulary. All right, a person's principal place of residence. What is that called? A person's principal place of residence. There's a technical word and then there's a simple word. Matilda, you know what? It is hard to say. You're not going to see all the vocabulary on the exam, but you will see a lot of them. So this is one source of vocabulary. I have other videos that I do the vocabulary differently. So go under my playlist on YouTube and click on vocabulary. And some of my older videos, I use a different book that's called the Texas Real Estate Sales Exam Guide. Has vocabulary, national and state questions, and math, review, refresher. On there, it has a lot of vocabulary. In AgentPrep, in Prep Agent, there's also other people that upload vocabulary. And if you Google real estate vocabulary, you'll come up with different free sources that you'll have the term and the definition right next to it. All right, so I have here residence, home, primary residence, homestead. Gotcha. I was thinking of situs, but a person's principal place of residence. Now, not every state has a homestead. Okay, a homestead is your primary residence. It's like in the wagon train days. Okay, somebody who settled on a piece of land, that became their homestead, right? They traveled from the east to the west, ended up in Oregon or California or Washington, and that became their home. Now, creditors cannot, creditors like credit cards cannot put a lien on your home or foreclose on it. The only people that can foreclose, well, there's different. The lender, when we're default, or property taxes, or if there's a lawsuit, a bankruptcy will put a hold, okay, on any foreclosures that could be taking the home away to be sold at the courthouse steps. A bankruptcy puts a stop on that, then the bankruptcy court takes over. But a homestead is your home, your primary residence. We're only allowed to have one primary residence. It is your home, it is your residence. However, you could have multiple residences, and this is called the principal place of residence. This is what you call your primary home that you live in. Then that is protected, okay, by the state or by the, by the state, because not all states have a homestead. All right, 142. Legal and mental ability of a person to enter in a binding agreement. So legal and mental ability of a person to enter in a binding agreement. So in other words, you're saying you are of good mind that you can sign your own contract, your own purchase, sales agreements, anything. Competent, says Tiffany. Good. Let's see what it ends up being. Competent. That seems common. Competent. You win. Yay. Oh, that's a pretty picture. An area of land, usually green space, placed between two areas that have different uses. Somebody mentioned that at the beginning. I think it was Rockwall. He responded on another question. Okay, so far I have buffer zone. Hey, y'all are good today. Let's check it out. Anybody else typing an answer before I show it? Hey, Deepak, thanks for joining us. A lot of you are new today. That's awesome. I saw approving you all on the Facebook group. You can also join on YouTube, okay? All these videos are recorded and are on YouTube, on the Facebook group, and on my business page, AgentPrep. Buffer zone, you're a winner. Awesome. Yes, a buffer zone is a piece of land, usually rectangle, that separates like a business zone from a residential zone, industrial zone from a business zone, agriculture from business, agriculture from residential. So that is a buffer zone. There has to be so many feet in between to separate the two types of land use. Moving right along. Okay, here's a long one. Financial planning tool using a provision of the tax that allows for capital gains on the sale of an investment property to be deferred if the proceeds are used to purchase another similar investment property. This is important to know. It is something you will use, okay, when you're dealing with some investors. And so the government allows you an opportunity of deferring your capital gain taxes when you're buying and selling investment property. So you can sell one and you have a certain amount of time to designate up to 3 properties that you could potentially buy within 6 months. What is that called? Got you thinking, huh? Like-kind exchange. It's a 1031 exchange. Don't ask me why 1031. Okay, it's just called 1031 exchange. So investors will use it, buy multiple properties, and then they'll decide to sell one property, okay, and have to, in order not to pay their 15% or however much the capital gains is, then they'll select other properties to transfer that money to purchasing the other property. A lot of times people will use their retirement plans or 401k, their RRA, and call them self-directed IRAs, individual retirement plan. And they'll invest in real estate, the best type of investment to make, right? Having your own business and real estate. How do most people get rich? Through real estate. So the government allows certain techniques or provisions to avoid paying taxes right away. All right, a lease agreement given by the corporate owner of a cooperative development to a shareholder resident of the development, which gives the resident the right to use and occupy a particular unit in the development. So what type of lease agreement is given by a corporate owner of a cooperative development to a shareholder resident? Okay, shareholder resident, so they're sharing the property of the development, which gives them a right to use it and enjoy it and occupy it for a certain period of time. Type your answer in the chat. Okay, so there's also quite a few of you on YouTube. Tap that like button, that thumbs up if you like it. If you don't like it, okay, you can do a dislike button, but hey, come on, you know? I always say, if you can't say something good, don't say anything. My goal is to help people feel good, not feel bad. All right, so let's see here. Co-op, timeshare. Well, let's check it out. Proprietary. Sorry, guys. Oh, man, this sometimes cracks me up like it is now. Proprietary lease. Cooperative. And yes, it's a cooperative development, could be a timeshare, but the type of lease agreement is called a proprietary lease. That one got me. I was thinking timeshare, okay? Oh my gosh. It's a proprietary lease. A timeshare is they actually own it. They're buying time on that particular unit, almost like a mortgage. However, they only use it for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, however many weeks. So individuals that go from the winter states down to the south or into Mexico, then they'll buy a week, 2 weeks, or however many weeks as a timeshare. So they get to share that unit with several other people, but certain times of the year, and they also pay a maintenance fee. Well, this is a lease agreement, all right, not just a timeshare. Proprietary lease. Gotcha. Got me too. All right. Thanks for the likes and the loves, y'all. So estimated amount a property will sell for considering normal market and transaction conditions, right? Because it all talks about location, 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 condition, 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 right? And price, price, price is why a property either sells or doesn't sell. Condition, location, price. So what is the estimated amount a property will sell for considering normal market and transaction conditions? We haven't been quite in a normal market. We've been in a major, major sales market during COVID and with extremely low interest rates. So there has been high demands for homes, not enough homes in the market. That's not a normal market. Okay. People are paying up to $100,000 over the list price. And realtors have been getting 30, 50, 70 offers on one property. You imagine that? So that goes, and they even waive the appraisal. However, this is not that type of a market. Market value. Yay. All right, Tiffany. Awesome. Moving right along. Hey, that's a wide street on that picture. Check that out. Those are things people are going to look for. People, buyers like us, right? Is there enough space to park along the side of the road? Are the roads wide enough? Do they have greenery? Okay, are they developed? Look at mountain view. Some people want mountain view, so they'll want to be up high. So market condition where there are more available properties than buyers hoping to buy. Not the market today. Generally considered to be more than 6 months of supply on the market, and where sellers are often willing to be more flexible to complete a sale. That is not now. Since COVID, we have been in a seller's market, sellers getting what they want or a lot more, and buyers having to offer and pay for almost everything. And only about 1 month or 1.5 month of inventory available. So what is this market condition where there are more available properties than buyers hoping to buy? So, right, there's usually 2 different types of markets, right? So somebody is saying inflation, buyer's market. Not somebody, Matilde and Tiffany. My top participators today. Hey, and I'm in a family event. I'm celebrating one of my brother's 80th birthday today, right? But when we make a commitment to work and provide something, we've got to follow through and stick to our schedule. Buyer's market, not scarcity. No, it's not scarce. There's plenty of homes on the market. I'm sorry. Yes, scarcity. Not enough homes on the market. However, it's called a buyer's market. It's either a buyer's market or a seller's market. Right now in 2022 and in 2020, 21, we've been in a seller's market. So a buyer's market is when there are not enough homes on the market. I'm sorry. I need to wake up. When there are lots of homes on the market, okay? There's an abundance of homes. They have many homes to choose from. Then it becomes a buyer's market. Sellers have lots of competition, so they have to give, okay? Where buyers can be more selective. That is a buyer's market. Okay, number 148. Depreciation to a property that cannot be remedied cost effectively because the cost of repairs exceed the increase in value the repair will bring. So depending on the location, what's surrounding, sometimes improving a property, no matter what is done to it, won't appreciate the price. The property will still depreciate because of the location. Some of the remedies, some of the repairs, won't be cost effective. So even in an increasing market where property values are increasing, so it's going to depend on what's around, right? Remember, location, condition. So they want to improve the condition. However, the location, there's nothing we can do to the location if it has changed, if it has an impact on property value. So what would that be called? Incurable. Okay, there's 3 different conditions that impact a property value, and there is environmental, physical, and what's the third one? Physical. The physical can be physical, functional, and environmental, and economy. So economics and environment are basically the same, and then functional, it's not functioning like the other properties in the neighborhood. Maybe it's a 2-bedroom and everything around it is a 3-bedroom, so people don't want to buy it because they want 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms, more family members. The physical, hey, they can paint it, they can change the floors, they can redo the counter. So it's functional, it's just outdated. Oh, thank you for the birthday wishes, Tiffany. Yeah, I appreciate it. I will let them know. Tiffany and Mathilde. Yeah, 80 years old. Imagine. So this is incurable. So it would be impacted by the environment, the economy. Even though, look, even though it is by the water, and we mostly say, hey, water property has higher value. But again, it also depends on the location by the water. Okay. So location, location, location. You're going to learn that big time. So this situation is not curable. They can't move the house. Although in some areas, homes are still being moved in large flatbeds. In fact, in my hometown in Mercedes, Texas, where I am right now, I got in about 1 o'clock this morning. They would transport homes, okay, in a long flatbed, kind of like a manufactured home. So that home could appreciate, right? They move the home to another location. This one, though, is like concrete block, brick, not going to be easy to move, right? So no matter what you do to that house, replace the roof, beautify it, it's not going to really appreciate in value. So it is incurable. So thank you for that, Tiffany. You said functional. Yes, that was the other one I couldn't remember. All right, 149. The process of estimating the amount of money a sale of all business assets would likely produce when going out of business. So what is that process called? The process of estimating the amount of money a sale of all business assets would likely produce when you're going out of business. So think about that and type it in the chat. And hopefully once you get your license, man, you're not going to be going out of business right away. Dedicate yourself to this business. It's not an easy business. It could be, but it takes a lot of work. Lots and lots and lots of work. We're the boss of us. I'm the boss of me. So the process of estimating the amount of money a sale of all business assets would likely produce when going out of business. Now, if you're going out of business, doesn't mean you're losing it. You're just, going out of business. Liquidation analysis. So you liquidate your assets. You decide you want money and you can lease the property instead of owning it. Your expenses will be much less. So individuals, business individuals, investors, business owners, they will liquidate certain assets so that they have working capital. Okay. And so that is the process of eliminating all business assets so that they have some cash. And so some individuals will own, let's say a strip mall. And so instead of paying all the responsibilities, all the overhead, they say, hey, you know what? I want the cash out of this and I'll lease back one of the units. Okay. So that's a sale with a lease back. And you'll hear about that. You'll learn about that in the real world. Okay, so that was liquidation. Like if you own stocks, you can liquidate your stocks. If you own different types of residential properties, investments, or commercial, when you want to sell them and take the money, you're liquidating your assets. Okay, so it is a liquidation analysis. They're analyzing all their assets. Number 150, mula phone credit cards. The accounting term that refers to a decrease in equity or increase in amount due. The accounting term that refers to a decrease in equity. So what is equity? There's another term, right? Or increase in amount due. So what is that accounting term? I would have showed a spreadsheet instead of a phone, a credit card, and a $5 bill. Hey man, show me the million, show me the money. Okay, depreciation and appreciation. Well, we'll see. Debt to income ratio, accounting term that refers to a decrease in equity. So equity, the money or the amount, the difference between the market value and the loan amount, or an increase in amount due. So you took money out and now you owe more. Debit. So that's your debit. Accounting term that refers to decrease in equity. So that means your debt increased and you have less money to use between the market value. The difference between the market value and the loan amount is equity, right? When you end up taking, let's say you refinance it, you get a home equity loan of credit. Well, now you used your equity, home equity line of credit. It's called a HELOC. So now you've used the equity that you've paid down on your loan. So now your loan amount increased. So that is a debit. That's the accounting term. Okay. Hey, y'all, we made it to 25 vocabulary today and explaining them. I know this way is a little bit more challenging. However, it gets you to think. And that's what we need to do is think, think, think. Hi, Ruth. Hey, you're on. Oh, look at that. She typed debit. Awesome. And DB Fitness on YouTube. So, hey, you all that are on YouTube, or if you're not on YouTube, go to YouTube and tap that thumbs up. Okay. So this is Agent Prep with Wild Lillie Handy. Okay. And today I'm coming to you from a little town where I grew up called Mercedes, Texas. I currently live in San Antonio, but right now I'm in Mercedes, Texas. So, hey, another awesome session of vocabulary. And you guys, you know, I can't stress it enough. All of my recent students that have passed their exams have mentioned to me that vocabulary, and they type on the different messenger chat groups that I have and on the Facebook group or business page. Vocabulary. Crucial. Of course, it's not the only thing that you want to learn. You also want to practice questions and the answers so that by the time you get to the exam, you're going to be comfortable and ready. Oh, and one big thing. When you go to the exam, the first 5 questions and the math are the hardest. And the first 5 questions can make it or break you. So skip the first 5 questions, write them down or click them for review and skip the math. Go and do all the easy questions first and then come back to the difficult ones, because now you've used very little time in answering all the ones that you do know, and you have more time to think about those that are hard and the math. So you'll be calm, you'll be relaxed, okay, and not get all stressed out and nervous. Yeah, the vocabulary is on Facebook, Ruth. It's in the Facebook group, because this is being recorded into our Facebook group, Agent Prep, and onto our business page. So if you go under the tab for videos, but it'll be there as a post, and they're on YouTube. Okay, so go to YouTube Agent Prep, and all my videos are on there also. So they're on the Facebook business page, Agent Prep, the Facebook private group, Agent Prep, and on YouTube, Agent Prep. Okay, so hey, y'all, go to my YouTube channel, YouTube Agent Prep, send me some love. Okay, I got my love hearts on today. And tap that subscribe button, okay? Click that little bell so you're the first to get notified every time I go live, or I put some comments on there, and tap the thumbs up, okay? If you found this video useful and helpful. Lots of students have been passing lately. And remember, I am also a realtor and I do real estate in 2 different markets. So I am also looking for partners, realtors, students to join me once you pass your exam at eXp Realty. I'm not the broker sponsor, I'm a realtor sponsor, and I can mentor you. As your sponsor, you already know that I like to help, okay? Because I don't get paid for this. I've been doing this for over 8 years to help students pass. Why? Others help me. And I enjoy it. I love it. I do it Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. and Saturday mornings at 10, whether I'm traveling or not. So go back to the YouTube channel, check on the playlist and see the vocabulary. And then I have a series of questions and answers. I already did, I think, 14 out of this series from the Texas Real Estate Sales Exam book, a 2006 book, but it's excellent, excellent, excellent book. And you might see some of those questions identical to that book. It's an old book from 2006. However, it's excellent. Some of the Texas questions are outdated, but they're very few. So you can listen if you're an auditory type of listener and watching, and do it every day. Even if it's 10, 15 minutes, learn something every day so that you can pass that exam. And you can join me at eXp Realty. We have lots of ways for you to make money, not just commission. All right. You're going to be interviewing a lot of different brokers. Okay. So find a broker that you're going to connect with, that's going to provide you what you need, what kind of hand holding. However, remember, you don't get free leads. If they do, you're paying for it actually in the long run on a daily basis. This is your business. I'm the boss of me. You're the boss of you. Okay. Until later, catch you all. Until next time, have an awesome weekend. See you Wednesday.